Louis Grizzard one time said that there is a difference between the word naked and nekked. Naked, he said, means you ain't got no clothes on. Nekked means you ain't got no clothes on and you're up to something. We was naked. Now bear in mind, this was nearly a quarter of a century ago, so we were younger, thinner, fitter, more lithe, and generally better looking naked and naked. My wife and I had just started our lives together, and freshly married, we had moved to this little patch of paradise that was hundreds of miles from civilization, surrounded on four sides by woods, and a quarter mile up this gravel driveway from the nearest neighbor's house. So being young and in love and new to this Garden of Eden, we did what was right and proper and natural. We got naked. And there was a hammock involved. Now, I don't know why I didn't hear the truck tires crunching on gravel, but I didn't. And if it would have been me, if I'd have been driving a Ford Ranger pickup, hauling four other grown men, and we happened upon a naked couple in a hammock in the middle of the woods, I believe I would have put that truck in reverse and eased on back from where I came. But that's just me. That wasn't them. They put it in park. Kindly parallel to where we was in that hammock. My wife was the first to notice that we'd been noticed, to discover that we'd been discovered. And brother, she come out of that hammock like a streak. I followed her for a couple steps until it dawned on me that I couldn't very well abandon new house and new home and fashion clothes out of fig leaves and spend the rest of my days there in the forest. For one, there ain't no fig trees growing in the mountains of Southwest Virginia. And for two, even if there was, it'd be mighty cold come the wintertime wearing nothing but fig leaf clothing. There ain't a whole lot of insulation value in that type of material from what I understand. So I stopped and I turned around and I started making my way back down the hill for where that truck was parked. Now in the driver's side was a great big giant of a man, and beside him in the passenger seat was a smaller, littler feller, and in the back there were three grown men of various sizes. As I approached the truck, the driver, the big one, opened up his door and planted his feet on the ground. And he twisted himself out from behind the wheel and started standing up. And he just kept on standing and standing and standing and standing until he was good and done, all 6'4", 6'5" of it. And then he reached out his hand, grabbed hold of mine, and gave it a shake. And even at the time, I felt like that was bizarre behavior. He introduced himself as my neighbor, and the smaller little fellow there in the passenger seat as his neighbor, and the three grown men in the back of the bed as their sons. "Welcome to the neighborhood," he said. I thanked him kindly, and I told him the same thing, and I meant it. Then he told me that he'd been hunting in them woods since he was just a wee littling, and he was wandering, and he apparently had to know that day, that very instant, if he could continue to do so. I told him maybe not today. Eventually, we got around to the part of the conversation where we bid our farewells and said our goodbyes, and he started twisting himself back into that truck. And as he got himself situated, he looked over at me and invited me to church. I told him I didn't lie to do much good. And then he told me he'd pray for me. I told him the same thing, but I didn't mean it. And I don't believe he did either. Because if he did, then prayers didn't get much past the roof of that Ford Ranger pickup. Unless he was praying for the exact opposite of what I wanted, which was to get back in that hammock. He put the truck into gear and he drove it off down the hill, and I watched it as it disappeared down the driveway, them tires crunching on the gravel. And then I turned and walked back up into the woods to fetch my wife. But the moment, as they say, it passed. We realized that we were no longer naked, but we were naked. And we hunted around for clothes to cover up our nakedness. Over the years, that neighbor continued to hunt up in there, but he's an old man now. His body done plumb give out, so he don't come around anymore. Nobody much does, so that leaves us there in our own little corner of Eden, all by ourselves. But the sin of it is over the past 20-some odd years, I've grown into a body ain't nobody wants to see naked or naked. And worse still, that hammock is long, long gone.